driving the quads up, the same point, standing up, and through the back. So, just nice. And when we're above head, when the shoulders just up in your ears, all this range of motion, so down here, it's much more soft. And go back as well. So from here, all we're going to do is pushing our knees back and driving that mid-foot.
So today we're just going to go over both snatch and the clean and jerk. A little bit about myself. I've been a weightlifter for 8 years now. I've got multiple national medals and I've recently just hit international. Weightlifting is a sport that takes a long time to be able to understand the basics. Like just practicing the snatch and clean and jerk. We do it 3 times a week, every week. So don't be disheartened if by the end of today you're not feeling like you're getting the movements down. It's more about understanding what you need to work on and where to start. That's kind of what we're going over today because there's a lot to get through. So we're going to go through the snatch first and then we're going to go through the clean and jerk. It's going to be pretty brief, but you should understand by the end of it kind of where you're starting with weightlifting. Cool. So if we just everyone grabs a stick to start with. So what we're going to be doing for our first exercise is something called a muscle snatch. So from here, we're going to put our one leg up and we're going to widen our grip until we find, until we can straighten our arms and push our shoulders down. So that's going to be the grip that we use. So from here, we want to be able to push our shoulders back and down and have that here. And that's contact point, so we want to straighten our arms a bit more. Yeah, so from here is contact. And we're going to point our knuckles down and push our shoulders back. And from here, we're going to get to high elbows up here. And then we're going to turn over. So from here, and turn. And we want to keep the elbows as high as possible. The reason being is we want to minimize all horizontal forces. So we basically don't want to see this out here because lifting out there is really hard, whereas lifting close is nice and easy. Cool. So I want everyone to do 3 of that. So just nice and slowly. And when we're above head, we want the shoulders just behind our ears and reaching up into the sky as hard as you can, tensing everything. Cool. Looking up. Cool. So now we're going to do 3. So 1, 2, 3. Cool. So now once you've done that, I want you to do it 3 more times, but you're going to go as fast as you can while keeping your elbows up. So from here, boom, and it's explosive. Yep. So you want your shoulders just behind here. Yep. Cool. So you see how your arms are bent here? We're going to be pressing right the way through because when we're above head, having straight elbows is one of the requirements to complete a lift. It's also just safer and good practice. Cool. So once everyone's done that, now we're going to go to the hang position. The way bar is just above our knees here. Yep, so you see how you're sat back on your heels? We'll be on our midfoot. So when I'm talking about midfoot, we're talking about this center point of our shoe, the wide bit here, and we want to be driving through there the entire time. Cool. So from here, we're just going to be pushing down with our legs, keeping our shoulders on top of the bar, driving through here until we make that contact position. So from here, we're just driving aggressively. So from here, drive, contact, high elbows, and through. Cool. So we're just going to go through it slowly, driving with our legs, contact, up and through. Cool.
How much do you think your knees when you do, like from contact to up?
So from here, it's just until our shins reach vertical. So for most people, getting to this position is going to be fine. Keeping a straight back. And then from here, we're just straightening our legs. So we're not leaning back and we're not pushing our hips forward.
You straighten your legs at the same time you're doing that.
So we straighten our legs first, contact, and then through. So slowly, it's going to look like here and through.
I got your shoulders.
Yep.
Is there any tips? Like I find high shoulders quite hard.
So again, if you're here, so we don't actually want to be taking any of the weight on our shoulders, we want it on our upper backs. So part of the reason why we want our shoulders back and down is because if I'm here, we don't want to be getting to this position. All of the weight should be on our upper backs, and by pushing your shoulders back and down, you should get that here. And The bar will be weightless when we're turning over, so the only time you're going to have resistance here is when we're doing it with a muscle snatch and light. Normally through this portion, the bar will be weightless because you send a bar with the force from our legs. So we're going to be asking you to put weights above your head using your legs, not your arms, which is kind of a little bit counterintuitive, but you'll get used to it. So from here, driving and through. But now as we turn over, we're going to stamp. So what I mean by that is from here, contact up, and as we turn, stamp. So the more aggressive you can make the stamp, the better. Nice. Cool. So you see how you're losing your core? We want to keep this straight back the entire way through. So we don't want to be diving into it. It's just up and then stamp. Nice. Cool. Everyone's going to do 2 more. I'm just going to look. Cool. So you see how you're on your heels when you're pulling through here? Yeah. What we don't want to be doing that is because as you pull through and drive through your heels, what's going to happen is your hips are going to push forward and we're going to send that bar in an arc. So everything we're doing today is we're trying to send the bar vertically. So we're just through here, everything should be nice and close, and the more we minimize those horizontal forces, the easier the lift will become. Nice, better. Good. Cool. Good. So once everyone's done that, now we're going to go from below the knee. So from here, we're going to be very similar to a squat position. So from here, if I'm to put the bar on my back, it's exactly like a back squat. So from here, all we are doing is pushing our knees back and driving through that midfoot. So I don't want to see your hips come up like this, and I don't want to see you pull back here. So from here, we're just driving with our feet to here, and then this position is the hang position, and we're gonna through. Nice. So we want to be relaxing our arms and leaving them as long as possible right the way through. So from here, we are keeping our arms straight right up until contact. The less we use our arms, the better. So from here, driving, keeping our arms nice and long until we get to this position. And then the more aggressive we can make the stamp, the better it will be. The reason being is because if you've ever tried to turn over and it looks a little bit slow, versus you can't be passive in one and aggressive in the other. So when we're talking about weightlifting, we want to be as similar to a jump as possible, because we are trying to throw, and it's basically, we're trying to jump with barbells. So this position here, we're doing a flat foot jump through here. So here. The only difference between why I'm not coming off the floor is because I will have a heavy weight and I'm going to pull myself under. But I'm trying to drive through that force and jump through this, which is why I'm getting you to keep it here, contact, high upward.
So just where it feels comfortable?
Yeah, so it's going to depend on your biomechanics, but for most people it's going to be around shoulder width apart and having your feet forward. Cool. So I now want people to grab bars, and we're going to basically go through the same thing, but we're going to now try to do it with a bar. So now that we've got a bar in hands, it's going to be a little bit harder, so we're going to need to put a bit more force into the bar. The turnover through here, you might not be able to muscle it and use your arms. So we're going to go from here, and we're going to drive that bar with our legs, and we're going to use our legs to throw it above our heads. So the first thing that we're going to do is get back into that snatch position. Through here, so quad up and through. So you see how you go, yep, no worries. So from here, shoulder width apart, weight on our midfoot, coming down, driving with our knees up and through, and you're going to do it more quickly. Wait. So you see how you dive through? Yeah. So we want to be keeping our chest upright and we're not throwing our torso. So all we're doing is driving with our legs, and we're going to do the muscle snatch first. So from here, up and through. So from here, and we want to be driving with our legs aggressively. So from here, so you see how you're on your heels, your toes are popping up, we want to be on this portion of our foot. So not on your ball of your foot, just find the ball of your foot and move slightly further back. So from here, driving up and through. So what we are trying to do here, or at least Why people are finding it a little bit harder is because you're using your upper body. So you're trying to pull and pull like this and through, right? So we want to be relaxing our arms through here, driving with our legs, and the more you can trust your legs, the easier it will be. So from here, pushing through, and now we're going to add that stamp in, which will be a little bit easier for people, but from here and through. Right? So when we're driving, we want to be keeping our chest tall and our abs engaged, and we're not throwing our hips forward. So from here, if I'm to do a jump, it's there, and now from here, if I'm going to jump, it's the same. Cool, so we're just going to do 3 more. So we're going to do 3 power snatches, and then we'll have another rest. So now we're going to go from below the knee again. So from here, shoulders back, looking up, driving with our knees back, getting to that hang position again, and then from here, going. Cool. So we're only going to do 3. Because
Not exhaust ourselves.
yeah. So from here, the same position. So we're going to put shoulders back, looking up, driving with our knees back, keeping the weight on our midfoot, keeping our arms nice and long, coming up, contact, over and stamp. Out on the ground. So we don't want to be bringing our hips forward and making contact like this. We want the bar to come back through. So by just pushing with our legs, we're going to eliminate any chance of this happening. So we want to be doing this. So contact here, then extend here. But extension will happen as a result of an aggressive leg drive. So we don't want to be coming onto our toes like this. We're going to be driving up, and that drive will cause extension. So up, through. So up will happen. Yeah. But even there, you're here. Whereas we want to be this. So you see how my arms are relaxed here? So if I'm to relax my arms totally, the bar's weightless. As soon as you start pulling here, what's going to happen is your torso is going to come forward, and then once you're here, lifting is really hard because you either have to step through or the bar's going to be really far behind. So now we're going to move on to the clean, which is, we're going to go back to the stick. The clean is very similar to the snatch. So the progression that we learned for the clean is going to be the same as the progression we learned for the snatch. So from here, we're going to go shoulder width apart, knuckles, thumbs width thumbs width out from our quads, shoulders back and down, and then high elbows and through. So we want to be keeping the bar as close, and we're not bicep curling it, so we're not out here. So up, high elbows, and then through here. Cool. No one's going to be able to rack it with just a stick, because without any resistance here, getting it onto your shoulders is really hard.
And cool. Slight toe raise.
So the first thing we're doing is just up and just practicing keeping that bar close and practicing not bicep curling. Cool.
So what's best
So shoulder width apart, thumbs width out. So get thumbs width out from your quads. So yeah. So from here, knuckles down, shoulders back and down, high elbows, and then through. Yep, so the closer you can keep it to your body, the better it will be. So from here, up, and then through. Cool, I want you to do 2 more times slowly, and then we're going to do it 2 times quickly. So you see how it's coming out and round? We want to be keeping it close and round the body. So from the side on, it's going to look up and through. We don't want to be, as soon as the bar comes out here, that's a really hard position to pull from.
So is it like a high pull until you get to the catch point?
So same thing, high elbows, and then round the bar. Yep. So now we're going to go through the hang, which is the principles are the same for the snatch and the clean. So from here, shoulders over the bar, keeping our arms relaxed. Then we're just going to drive through, but this time we're going to be making contact on our quads. So from here, driving, and keeping your shoulders back and down, pushing with our legs, making contact, high elbows, and then through. So from here, up, and through. Nice. So the position that we're getting to should be mimicking your front squat position, or basically nice and upright here. We don't want to be leaning forward like this where our hips come back. We want to be maintaining weight on that midfoot again the entire way through. So it's a midfoot drive. What I mean by that is the extension is off the midfoot here, and then we're stamping with that midfoot here, midfoot again. Yeah, so the more aggressive you can make that stamp, the easier it will be. So the next one we're going to do is basically go from below the knee again. So from here, we're going to go find a mid-shin, shoulders over the bar. Bar is going to be over the knuckle of your big toe. We don't want to be pushing it against our shins. We want it about a thumb's width away. Driving through again, just pushing our knees back. So I'm not bringing my hips up, and I'm not pulling back here. So just driving with my knees until we get to that hang position. From here, extend, up and stamp. Yeah, so we don't want to be leaning back at all. We want to be keeping our shoulders over the bar the entire way through the lift. The reason being is if we're behind, this is the lever that's going to throw it, and as soon as we come back here, we're going to push with our glutes, and the bar's going to arc round. Cool. So from here, shoulders back and down. So the clean grip, so which is a thumb's width out from your quads. Yep, shoulders back, down, and we're going to go from here, above the knee, driving with our legs, contact, up, and stamp. Yep, so we don't have to hold a full grip when we're in the rack position. It's more so about getting your elbows up and getting that nice platform that we're going to create here.
So do you want the thumbs wrapped around the bar, or you don't want the thumbs when you're doing the movement?
When we're pulling, any pulling movements, we're going to be hook gripping, which is here, whereas as soon as we turn over, we can lose hook grip.
Into there?
Yeah, but pushing your elbows up and out as much as possible.
Sorry, what's the grip on the down?
So when we're pulling, we want to be doing hook grip through here. So now from here, we're just going to drive and do the whole thing together. So from here, push, contact, and through.
Are you like moving the bar?
No, so remember the bar comes back to you, so we don't want to be pushing our hips forward. If we try and meet the bar with our hips, what's going to happen, it's going to come out. So, yeah.
That's like the hardest movement.
It looks like you are.
Yeah, it looks like you're like boofing the bar.
No, so, okay. So if we're going to jump, my hips are going to come from this point to here. But you don't think about engaging your glutes when you jump. You just think about going vertically. So the reason that we just want to think about going upwards, because yes, you might be able to put more force into the bar, pushing through, but not all of that force is going to have a vertical component. From here, all I'm thinking about is driving with my legs. If I think about anything else, just like pulling with my arms or anything like that, it's going to change the contact point, which is going to result in an inconsistency, which is going to push through here. So all I want you thinking about is driving through your legs, keeping your shoulders over the bar, through. And by keeping the arms relaxed and keeping your shoulders back and down, that's going to result in contact. We don't want a really aggressive contact, because if you're trying to force it, it generally means that you're compensating for something else. So when we're learning the split jerk, we're going to be going from here. So for those of you who haven't seen a split jerk from before, it's this through here.
Can you show us what the other ones are? So just purely out.
Yeah. So the power jerk is here, and the squat jerk is right the way through.
Yeah.
The split jerk looks the most complicated, but it gives you the highest degree of accuracy when in competition or in just training. The reason being is we've got a much wider base and we can move and take the weight here. With the power jerk, you've only got this, and with the squat jerk, if you've done a really heavy clean or really heavy lift, then you've got to squat it while having it here, and you've got to somehow balance, like I can't even get down this low, like that. And it's really hard, and most of the squat jerks in competition are missed. Cool. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a push press. So we're not going to use the sticks for this, we're just going to use bars because we need it nicely on our front rack. So from here, we're going to be up here, we're going to relax and open our hands, and we're going to do a short dip, and we're going to drive through to here. Yep. So the more relaxed we can keep our arms, the better. This is a leg movement, it's not a shoulder movement. So we're throwing the bar above our heads with our legs. So we're not trying to strict press. So from here, drive, and all we're doing is dip and explode and push. Yeah, and we're trying to keep the dip as vertical as possible. So what we don't want to see is our hips come back. We are just unlocking and relocking the knees as aggressively as possible. So from here, dip and through. When doing this, we want to be keeping a double chin and looking up as well. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to find out what foot everyone is for their dominant foot. So does everyone know what foot they would split forward with? You're right?
Just what feels natural?
Yeah, so the easy way to find it is you're just going to close your eyes, use hands behind your back, lean forward, and step. Not having a bar in front of you.
Yeah, mine would be it.
Yeah.
Is it usually your dominant side?
Yeah, it's normally your dominant foot, yeah. Cool. So, what we're going to do is just take a step forward and a step back, and we're going to get into this position here. So, this position, I want my quads underneath me, my hips are nice and square, and I'm very upright. So I'm not leaning forward, I'm really upright in this position, and from here, I want to be able to draw a line from this quad all the way up and through. We want our front shin to either be vertical or pointing back at us. The reason being is if the front foot is short here, when we have a weight overhead, when we bend our knees, it's going to be throwing forward and we're going to miss the lift. So we want this front shin back and we want to be very upright here. So now I want everyone to come back and we're going to stamp into that position. So what we don't want to see is a step here. We want to see an aggressive on our toes, boom, through. So now we're going to just practice this with the stick. So a double chin when doing this is really important because we don't want to come through and whack through. So a double chin and looking up from here, arms relaxed and through. So now we're going to practice with the bar. So from here, it's going to be the same thing, but we're going to keep tensor quads, tensor glutes, tensor abs, short, sharp dip, and the shorter we can make it, the better. Because as soon as you go deep in a dip, you're going to break posture. So from here, we come down, and if I'm here, when I extend, I'm going to send that bar this way. We want to be as vertical as possible. So from here, short and sharp. So. So the reason being we do front foot then back foot is because we want an even distribution of weight on our legs, and when we're learning, everyone is going to favor your dominant leg first because it's natural to have it here and it's natural to have your hips interned and on one leg. What we want is to be here, nice and upright and weight evenly distributed so you can drop like that. Pull clean and jerk. What we're going to be doing is from here driving, power clean, standing up, taking your rest, breath, tense your quads, tense your glutes, tense your abs, short sharp dip, up, front foot, back foot, and through. So for most people, getting into this position is going to be really hard because if you spend a day and a half, so you'll end up favoring this front foot because your hips will be back, but we want to be here and having our hips square. Because as soon as you do this, you're favoring one leg massively over the other, and there's no weight here. So if we're just from here driving back, we're not going to hit our knees. So even though our knees will start over the bar initially, when we drive, they're going to come back. What happened there is you opened up and started doing a second pull too soon. So we want to have two distinct, we want to have a distinct first and second pull. So from here, drive until we get to this position where our shins are vertical, our knees over here, and then we just push with our legs and open up. So 1, 2, and through. Stand up, take a breath, quads, glutes, abs, double chin, through, front foot, back foot. Yeah, no. So be a little bit more patient with that front foot, that first pull, sorry. Better, yeah. Nice. So you can tense your abs a little bit harder. So what I mean by that is you're here in your split. If you just pull this hip in and round, we want to be having our hips square when we're driving. Yeah, so it's easier to set it beforehand. So if you go through quads, glutes and abs all to start with, and then you don't let go. So when I'm here, it just allows me to keep my hips facing forward. Yeah, much better. So you see how from there, instead of your hips facing this way, they're facing, yeah. So if you're here and you've got a big arch and then you're overhead, it's going to be behind pulling you back, whereas we were trying to keep that bar over the center of gravity, so over our midfoot the entire way. So what we don't want to be is back here, we want to be right the way through, keeping that bar in line. So that's why we have our shoulders just behind our ears, and not back here, because as soon as you go back here, it's going to pull you. So if you can draw that line in from here all the way up and through, then do this, the bar is going to be sitting over that midfoot, whereas if you're way back here and you push your torso through and then you come back, it's going to pull you back. But normally people will bring it forward. Yeah. All right. Anyone else got any more questions? Or?
So many.
Yeah.
So many little technique words, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're not going to be learning. No. No. No.
I'm aiming for Olympics.
Awesome. Yeah. Next year. No. Commonwealth Games is next year. No, I know. Yeah. No, Commonwealth Games is next year.
You go?
Huh? Currently number 2 spot, but hopefully that's the plan. Yeah, so good resources online to look at for Olympic weightlifting. There's a guy called Catalyst Athletics that if you want to incorporate weightlifting into your training systems, he has fantastic little vlogs that are about 2 to 3 minutes that will break down each individual thing. Weightlifting is a very adaptable sport that you can take components of. For example, I was talking about a sprinter earlier who does split cleans, but there are many different aspects of weightlifting that you can use in your training, if it's regarding the split jerk or hang snatch, and you can make them as complicated or as simple as you want. So, for example, a lot of throwers don't bother doing the full Olympic movements because they don't need to do the full Olympic movements because it's too technical for them. They will spend most of their time just either doing the hang snatch, or power cleans from the hang. They won't bother going all the way down and from here because it's not worth it for them.
Does that typically mean that you wouldn't be able to lift as much if you weren't doing the full movement?
Depends on the person. Some people can lift far more through that and some people can lift far less. So everyone's going to have slightly different techniques and biomechanics, and you're going to have to find styles that work for you. So that's why if you find a weightlifter that you like the look of, so for example, like the Chinese weightlifting team are very popular right now. They have tiny femurs. So they are selected on their femur length. So they have very upright and aesthetic looking snatches, but if you're 6'4" with long limbs and not very good mobility, you're never gonna snatch like those guys. That's not to say you can't be good. There are plenty of 6'4" lifters who are fantastic because of their levers being so long. Lesman being one of them.
I've noticed that your arms are very long.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a good,
no. It's in fact horrible for the sport. Yeah.
Powerlifting is good and bad.
Yeah.
Deadlift's good, but
so for weightlifting, it's typically quite bad. It's okay for snatches, but for getting the weight overhead, it's a much longer distance, and it means that you have to be far more accurate because you're not able to basically save a lot of the lifts. Same goes with femur length. So the shorter femurs are generally preferred because they'll allow you to squat more upright. That's not to say that you need that to do well at the sport. And for most people, you're never going to reach a point where your biomechanics are going to become a complete issue for you. But yeah. So, for example,
Chinese national team.
Yeah. So, yeah. So if you're trying to find a good technical model for yourself for a weightlifter, try to find someone with similar biomechanics to you, rather than trying to choosing someone who's got the most aesthetic technique going to man.
Who has long femurs?
So someone called Lesman. There's also a really good girl, Olivia Reeves. She's currently just lifted 2 kilos over the snatch world record. She's an American. She's generally who I would suggest to any girls wanting to get into the sport. She is a fantastic role model with her attitude towards training and just how she trains. Yeah, she's just an awesome lifter. Yeah, that's basically the introduction to the 2 lifts. Obviously, there's a lot more to them than this, but that should give you a brief overview of what a snatch is and what a clean and jerk is, and basics of how to perform them.